What's up, guys and gals? We just got our first look at Godzilla in the new TV show Monarch Legacy of Monsters. But you might have missed that the MonsterVerse Omnibus was released as well to those who went and helped back the Kickstarter for the project a long time ago. Now, if you're one of the people who dropped mad money on the Omnibus, I'm sorry, but we're not going to focus on the drama of that situation because within the Omnibus, we finally got some lore on some titans that we've seen Godzilla whoop up on in Godzilla Dominion. Nakika, Amhuluk, and my personal favorite that I want to see show up in a live-action adaptation, Tiamat. I actually did a video like this like 3 or 4 years ago talking about the titans from King of the Monsters like Behemoth and them. So here we go, it's like going on right behind me right now.
Before they are slain by their
Why am I talking
who
like
used them
that?
to shelter.
So this is going to be fun to take another gander at something like that. Give this video a Kong-sized like if you like to learn more about the lore of the titans and the Monsterverse in general, and share it around to make sure Legendary sees how much this stuff means to us fans. New titan lore, let's get to it. So we're going to start off with my least favorite of the 3 titans we got new lore on, Amhuluk. Something about this creature has always been off-putting to me. I think it's due to it just being not realistic enough. I know a realistic enough excuse is getting old in the Monsterverse, I get that. But titans have always been based roughly on animals, and Amhuluk seems more like a Pokemon than a titan, at least in my opinion. But the lore now gives reasoning behind why the beast is so absurd, and it makes me like the titan at least a little bit more. So I'm gonna read it for you guys right now. You can see it hopefully right beside me. You know, it's like you see me, you see it, that's cool, right? Amhuluk. The largest specimen of flora-fauna Monarch has yet to encounter. Amhuluk is a fiercely territorial shoreline beast, roaming beachfronts and peninsulas while hiding in plain sight as a lush island floating at sea, or a welcoming canopy of shady trees along the coast. A haunted forest come to life. Amhuluk was feared by the ancients as a demon of pestilence, using toxic emitters to poison the oceanic channels and rivers it traveled through. During his skirmish with Behemoth, Monarch recorded 6 new electromagnetic anomalies, that's a mouthful right there, each with a repeating sonic positron emission. Early spectral analysis of these findings suggests Amhuluk may be capable of manipulating its exoskeleton of vines and jagged redwoods, using biotelekinetic neurotransmitters. But that does make it susceptible to certain alpha frequencies. You know who that is. If you must call in a sonic strike against Amhuluk, head of Monarch Cryptosonography Rick Stanton recommends blasting Van Halen's cover of You Really Got Me from an Osprey external speaker array. First off, why was there so many big freaking words there? Jesus, my little brain struggling. And regarding Amhuluk's size, well, they have it listed at 379 feet in height. Okay, pretty big. That's about as tall as Godzilla, taller than Godzilla from Godzilla 2014, so he's right up there, or it, he, she, I don't know what Amhuluk is. But I think this size is probably very inconsistent to what this monster's capable of, because we've seen in Dominion, it was able to like extend its arms like what was the equivalent of probably hundreds of feet, considering how big these creatures are. And if it's supposed to look like an island at times, it's got to be bigger than 300 feet, because that'd be a little island. So I guess that's just its standard walking size, but it could probably grow much bigger than that. But regarding Amhuluk, they kind of threw in some cool features that made me appreciate this titan a little bit more. I really like the idea of it being like this living island that's like hunting people and poisoning water and all that. So pretty cool, still a little odd and a little outlandish somehow in, you know, this world of 400-foot monsters, but that's just my opinion. What's yours? Now let's move on to Nakika. This titan had a drastic change given in the lore here, at least from how I perceived it from the little we had from Dominion and the book version of Godzilla vs. Kong. For this entire time, I thought Nakika was the ocean equivalent of Mothra, being a guardian or a benevolent titan. Turns out I was wrong. She's a destroyer titan. Let's read her stats and bio now. Alright, so Nakika. Something twisted this way comes, propelled by massive tentacles winding through the darkest depths of the ocean, moving as if each one is possessed with a bloodthirsty mind of its own. History speaks of a monster cephalopod that devours entire ships, becoming a sobering and familiar horror story shared by sailors across the sea for centuries. Nakika is a threat in and out of the water, using its viscous adhesive from its suction cup tendrils for traversal onto land, and to drain elemental energy from titans gripped by the unbreakable tensile strength of its liquid muscle fibers. Intelligent as it is dangerous, Nakika sorry guys, can snap off large pieces of jagged seabed mantle or wield submarines as projectile weapons in combat. That's pretty cool. So yeah, even with Godzilla Dominion kind of representing this monster as something that Godzilla went to go save, like it was some sort of good, beautiful creature, apparently it's freaking just bloodthirsty and has a mind of its own, and it just wants to kill and enslave everybody. And once again with the Pokemon comparison, this thing's got like Mega Drain or Giga Drain, if you remember that move from those Pokemon games and all that. You know, like being able to suck out the hit points of your opponent. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I like that idea. That kind of makes sense in the Monsterverse. And apparently Nakika's pretty damn big, coming in at 898 feet in total body length. I wonder why they didn't just say 900. Like, why 898? Just make it 900. I don't know, but yeah, that's pretty big. That's long. Now let's move on to the final and my girl crush in the Monsterverse regarding the Titans, Tiamat. The Titan who was actually mopping the floor with Godzilla till the G-Man was able to get her up on the land. Alright, so Tiamat. A bioluminescent serpent of the ocean that emerges on land to feed on electricity. Titanus Tiamat is the embodiment of primordial chaos. A dangerous threat in water, chemoreceptors, I guess that's how that's said, embedded in its venom hood, release a phosphorus ink that could blind and disorientate opposing titans in combat. We've seen that happen with Godzilla, didn't we? Yeah. The electrogenic cells in its body store and discharge electrical currents capable of boiling the ocean at extreme temperatures, creating a powerful electrical superstorm so massive that it can be seen from space. Monarch behavioral analysts suggest Tiamat uses the vocal folds in its tendrils to mimic the sounds of other species. Something about these bios is just making them really hard to read. Like, they wrote these for like really like grammatically correct people. I don't know this crap. I'm from the damn mountains. Anyway, having spent many years in containment at Monarch Outpost 53, it also seems to have learned to mimic the sound of human voices. While not possessing the vocal capabilities of speech, it is not unusual to hear the haunting echoes of Tiamat's Titan song followed by the slow and hungry clicking of its monolithic mandibles. So some pretty cool additions to the lore of Tiamat there, even though it was like insanely hard to read. Once again, like all of these were really hard to read. I don't imagine many kids are gonna have any idea what the hell half of this means, right? But it's cool stuff on Tiamat. I like it. Now, I was talking to Dope Pope, and he was actually the artist who pretty much created the concept for Tiamat that would go on to be used in the comics and all that. And he said he came up with a cool idea to where she could kind of be like a waterbender, you know, from like the Avatar, the cartoon, not the Blue People Avatar, to where she could bend the water and kind of combine it with her own body to make her length seem even larger. Like, she could start spinning like this, and then it would appear like her body was like 10 times longer than what it actually was. Really cool idea. Doesn't seem like Legendary thought it was that cool, but I do, and I think Dope Pope's very cool too, so go check him out if you haven't already. Now I'm gonna get to the length of Tiamat. Now remember, she's like my favorite extended lore Titan, so I'm a little invested on this one. I think her body length that they have listed here at 847 feet, once again, why not 850? But anyway, that's really too damn short. That just doesn't make sense. I think this was a lost opportunity to have a Titan that was over 1,000 feet long. I don't think they've had that yet in the Monsterverse. So I know it's just like a little like who the hell actually cares, but I kind of care, and I think it would have been really cool to have her be over 1,000 feet, and it kind of adds up, like, because Godzilla's really freaking long, and she was long enough to wrap around him multiple times in Dominion as they were fighting. So I don't know, for a monster of this you know, ability to be able to take on Godzilla, and Dope Pope agreed with me. He said like she should at least be like way longer than Godzilla. If she's capable of fighting him, she's got to be, you know, bigger than him at least in some regard. Anyway, but at the end of the day, my opinion doesn't really matter, and it's just kind of, yeah, I'm just glad we got anything at all in the first place. But y'all's opinion matters to me, so let me know what you think about all three of these Titans down in the comments with a little bit of lore that we got from them. Overall, I'm happy we got some new lore on these Titans. Thank you for something, Legendary. That being said, I'm gonna give some hard truths here. The lore that they gave to us in the omnibus for these monsters is something that, like, professional, you know, lore creators and writers, they could have made all of this in like 5 hours of time. You know, they didn't put much effort into it. Now, I think it should have dropped in Godzilla Dominion. Towards the end, we get these, you know, with these cool, there's Amulet there. We get some cool pictures of them, but we don't get any actual lore or anything like that. But then the, you know, the sister comic to Godzilla Dominion that came out for Godzilla vs. Kong, they went ahead and, here's the same sort of style of lore descriptions, and like the formatting's the exact same as the one they give to us in the new omnibus. They got stuff for Camazotz, they got his size, they got his lore, they got a little bit more lore. So yeah, that kind of makes me think that they kind of had this created, but used it as some sort of lore to get people to spend money on the Kickstarter, not trying to start controversy or what's the word, conspiracies or anything about it. But yeah, it's definitely something that, I don't know, I think should have came out with the actual comic. It wasn't really enough to glorify spending a ton of money on the omnibus, because they were like, hey guys, we got a bunch of new lore, like monster bios coming to you guys, and it's like, it's a paragraph for each monster that probably took them longer to write down all those huge, giant, smart freaking people words than it did to actually think of the lore. And I'm like, come on, man. Anyway. But residents of Dangerville, life goes on, and I'm happy we got something, and more kaiju stuff's coming out. So, hey, whatever. If you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed seeing my stupid face talking to you the entire time, you know what to do, all that YouTube stuff. Share the video around, let your friends know that, like, hey, there's a video out there talking about, Tiamat or Amulet or Nakika. Which I just like saying it like that. For some reason, that should be how we all say Nakika from here on. Nakika!